Am I the idiot for telling my best friend I'm moving out as soon as possible? My BFF and I have been planning to get an apartment since December of 2021. We paid the application fee and the deposit to hold the apartment, but problems started to arise right before we moved into our apartment. She did her taxes, blew her cash loan of $500 on the tax card, and didn't have enough money for the deposit and rent. She told me to ask my boyfriend to move, and so I did. Long story short, she still didn't have enough, so my boyfriend and I had to pay the rest. $3,030 in total, and she only paid $704. Ridiculous. She even had to call people to borrow money, because she spent so much. Before we moved in, I had taken us to IKEA to buy things, and guess who ended up paying for most of the necessities? My boyfriend and I. Almost $600 worth of stuff for the kitchen, bathrooms, and bedrooms. The same thing can be said about the cleaning supplies and groceries, which are insane. To this day, my boyfriend and I still pay for a majority of the groceries. I got into a car accident last month, got 5 stitches in my chin, a swollen wrist, and unfortunately lost my unborn baby as a result. Oh boy, was she glad to hear that, because she had been so negative ever since I told her about my boyfriend and I were TTC. All she said was, "I'm so sorry, maybe now you can get on birth control." Words can't express how infuriated I was. She was more upset when I said I was 2 months along, saying, I quote, "You guys will struggle without me, have no money, and no life." She also said her dreams of having her own place are crushed. I think she was more concerned about not being able to borrow from us, since our money would be going to our baby. Cruel and selfish? I know. I decided it would be nice to adopt a cat or 2 to distract myself, but she instantly claimed ownership before I even adopted one. "I'm by myself and lonely in my room. You have your boyfriend, so you're okay, but I'm not." Blah blah blah. Who paid for that? My boyfriend and I. Insurance and adoption fees. I'm sick and tired of putting forth so much, and she just takes advantage of everything. She constantly asks my boyfriend for money. I told him to say no because she already owes him and she owes me too, blowing her money on $200 wigs. She complains about her sex life to the both of us while she shuffles different men in the house every other week, and blasts her music in the morning at 6 o'clock while we're still sleeping since she's an early bird. My last straw was her complaining about us not taking out the trash on her time the other day. The trash was half full and we're trying to use up everything we can because we keep getting financially strained because of her. I will have a conversation with her about it once she comes home. I don't really feel like dealing with the gaslighting, guilt tripping, or anger from her right now, but it needs to be done. Now for a few comments before the update. Not the idiot. Honestly, if she isn't helping pay rent, you could just kick her out. No. Do you have an agreement for this? Then the original poster responded with, "We do, but on the lease agreement, we signed off on all of us being equally responsible if any rent payments or utilities were late." Then another commenter asked, "How have you been putting up with this for so long? Why isn't she already out of the damn house?" Then the original poster responded with, "It's been 3 months since we've moved into the apartment, and she's already gone broke several times. If I opt to break the lease now once our new apartment is approved, she will be homeless and without a place to stay." Comment 2. Not the idiot. So very sorry about the loss of your unborn child. Leave as soon as possible and make sure you get your deposit back, else you know where it is likely to go. I'd also suggest taking the cats if everything to do with it/them is in your name, as she won't be able to for them. Now for the update. Hello? I had posted 2 months ago about my experience with my BFF/roommate, and I wanted to say thank you for all the support and reassurance from everyone. About 2 weeks ago, my boyfriend and I arranged a new place for us to live for the time being, until we had the all clear to move out the rest of our stuff. We had tried to have a conversation with our roommate, because she recently had waited 17 days to pay her portion of the utility bill. I gave her plenty of reminders, and guess what? She didn't pay for it. Again. My boyfriend was done with this, so he decided to talk to her about it. She got defensive, stated that she had a lot on her mind, she's human, and that she's older, so she needs more reminders. She also took stuff out of our room while we were out on vacation. My boyfriend and I had gotten 2 blink motion cameras to put in our rooms since we hadn't changed the lock to our bedroom door. My boyfriend and I were spending some time with my family at dinner, and we got a notification of movement in our room. We look, and there she is taking stuff being recorded. As soon as we got back, we changed the locks. We had talked to our landlord about the situation and the environment in our apartment being hostile, including at work. She understood, and gave us an offer that if we can all agree to vacate, she will terminate our lease for us. We cancelled the Wi-Fi as well since she hasn't been paying for that. We also had stopped carpooling with her to work as well, and that really enraged her as well. I had contacted her the night we moved out and tried to have a conversation about why we left, discussing the issues. Lying to people about us, not paying bills on time, treating my boyfriend and I like moneybags, using us for our cars, not respecting our privacy, going in our rooms without permission, etc. She became defensive again, said I was leaving her homeless before the rent was due. We had already paid our shares of the rent for August, and that she is baffled at how despicable we are acting. After that, she's been making our lives at work a bit uncomfortable. She's been cursing at my boyfriend every time she walks by and has been spreading rumors about us, which I told him to ignore. It just shows how immature she is and not willing to take any responsibility for the problems. Nonetheless, this is a victory for us. I'm glad we've been given an out by our landlord. She has been super nice to us throughout all of this. Comment 1. You need to start documenting her workplace behavior and report her to HR, if you have one. If needed, also document the facts about your previous living situation, theft, bill non-payment, etc. I'd leave the carpool part out since that could be left to interpretation. Then the original poster responded with, yes, we included all of that in our report. Our company doesn't send HR to investigate though, they have a separate team that investigates these matters. I would provide more information but I'm afraid she'll come across this post, since she's on Reddit a lot. Comment 2. Holy crap, that landlord is so nice. If she keeps up her behavior at work you might have to get HR involved. Cursing at coworkers, while tempting in many cases, is generally frowned upon. If she makes any comments about your sex life you can probably get her for sexual harassment. Either way, she isn't going to get far in life. Good luck with everything. I hope you got your cats back now. For the next story. Am I the idiot for telling my mom I hope the police find her? My little brother, who is 7, recently lost his iPad. We've tried Find My, it won't connect. We've turned the house upside down looking for it. It's not the first time he's lost or damaged his devices, so my mom's response caught me completely off guard. I was babysitting my brother a few days before he lost his iPad and my mom accused me of stealing it. I was shocked and laughed, pointing out that my brother still had the iPad when she returned from her errands that day. But she only grew angrier, insisting that I had it. She went into my room and made a complete mess, throwing my things on the floor, pouring out cabinet contents, quite literally turning everything upside down to try and find the iPad I supposedly stole. Like I had been telling her, it wasn't in there. She told me I had to clean the mess up, and I was starting to get upset. I asked why she was so convinced I took it, and she said it's because I have a history of doing these things. When I asked her what she meant, she brought up the time I threw away a perfectly good iPad. What? While I don't exactly remember it myself, I've heard the story many times. When I was 5, I had gotten frustrated over a movie buffering and decided my iPad was useless, throwing it out in the trash. By the time my mom realized, it was gone. I take full responsibility for being a dumb kid, but that was years ago. I'm now 14 going on 15. I asked if she really thought I hadn't matured since I was 5, she yelled back. Yes, you clearly haven't if you're doubting me like this. She spent hours trying every punishment she could think of to get me to confess where I hid the iPad. But I told her the same thing every time. I didn't take it, so how could I know? She eventually threatened to call the police on me, to which I said, go ahead. I won't be the one paying the fine for wasting their time. My mom was really upset by that comment, crying on the phone for days about how she's trying her best and how I want her to be robbed of money we don't have. I feel really bad. I know she has trauma around losing money, and she really wants to avoid having to buy a new iPad. My stepdad and extended family think I'm being selfish for wishing that on her, but my friends think I'm in the right. I want an unbiased opinion, so Reddit, am I the idiot? Edit. Thank you all for the kind words. I wasn't expecting all this support. I'm trying my best to respond to everything and all your questions. I'll get to everyone after school. Edit 2. Thank you again for the kind words, but I'm not a she. Edit 3. My biological dad isn't in my life. He's not an option to move in with. Edit 4. My family supports my mom and CPS has failed me twice in the past. If I can get tangible evidence, I'll go to my teachers for help. But right now my plan is to keep saving and move out on my 18th. Now for a few comments before the update. Not the idiot. Your mom is being toxic. Who TF blames the kid for something they did years ago at the age of 5. Your response was reasonable, and your mom knows it, but she just wants to be a victim, so she keeps on twisting the narrative to make you the one to blame. Please don't let yourself believe that. Comment 2. Not the idiot. LOL what? You didn't take the iPad, what more does she want? You have told her repeatedly in a civil manner, and she's convinced you took it. I think warning her about the police fine is actually working in her favor to perhaps sober her up from whatever stupor she was in. Now for the update. First, thank you all for letting me know my mom's behavior was wrong. I'm still coming to terms, but seeing everyone shocked at her reaction really made me realize that she's not treating her kids right. Ha. Secondly, many of you suggested my mom was projecting and knew where the iPad was. So I did some digging and found the iPad in her bag. It had been factory reset, and the case was gone, so I have a feeling she was going to sell it? It was possible my brother put it there, but considering she uses the bag multiple times a day, she should have known it was there either way. I looked into things some more but couldn't find anything, so I just told myself my brother put it there for whatever reason and lied, and my mom somehow missed it. 7 years old do dumb things, right? I did tell her I found it. I got in trouble for snooping through her things and making no apology because what you said to me was completely out of line. As for the iPad itself, she's convinced I had it and put it in her bag to get myself out of trouble. She never did call the cops though, so that's a plus. I'm starting to doubt my brother had any involvement, especially with the iPad being reset. I'll have to do some more investigating, but either my mom plans to sell it, she still hasn't given it back to my brother, or she really does think it's me and my stepdad was behind it. Again, there is the possibility I mentioned earlier of my brother doing it, but that could be denial speaking. I'm pretty upset at the idea she'd punish me for something she was behind the whole time. Comment 1. Jesus OP. I'm sorry and I hope you can get out soon. From your update, she blames the stepdad too? How is he handling all of this? Can you get him on your side? Then the original poster responded with, he's not really talking about it, he's just saying my mom is the one involved, so whatever. Comment 2. Yeah, there's zero chance your brother had anything to do with this. She's either trying to make a few bucks and making things up to deflect any blame, or just straight up manufacturing excuses to be angry with you. Or both. She sounds nuts. Now, for the next story. Am I the idiot for correcting my half-sister about my parentage and saying that my mom's husband isn't my dad? I, male 17, am the kid of divorced parents. I live with my mom, her husband Steve, and their daughter Molly, 5. My dad lives halfway across the country and is in no financial position to look after a kid, which is why my mom has full custody. In spite of that, my dad and I are really close. We have daily video calls and send each other cards and presents on holidays and birthdays, and if it was feasible, I would totally rather live with him. That is all to say, I don't need another father figure to take his place. Anyway, the other day, Molly referred to Steve as me and my name as daddy, and I corrected her that he's her daddy, not mine. Molly looked dismayed and asked me what I meant and said, "Does that mean you're not my brother?" I explained to her that I have a different dad and that her dad is my mom's husband, but that doesn't mean he's my dad. I reassured her that I'm still her brother and I love her and yada yada. Steve shot me a death glare and my mom just looked sad. Molly seemed to accept my answer and we carried on with what we were doing. Later, my mom took me aside and told me she was sad that I hadn't accepted Steve yet, and called me petty and cruel for pushing your issues on a little kid. She said that, like it or not, Steve is her husband, so that makes him my father figure, and that I need to find room in your heart for both of your dads. I told her that Steve is not, and never will be, my dad, and told her that just because you hate my real dad doesn't mean I have to throw him away like you did. I was worried I would lose my temper even more than I already had, and left the situation to cool off. In the time since, Molly has been asking me incessant questions about my dad and why my mom left him. She slept with her gym buddy, but I'm not going to tell Molly that until she's older. For now, the story is that my mom just fell out of love with my dad. Steve has been avoiding me like the plague and being passive-aggressive when we have to interact, and my mom has been bugging me to apologize to him. She's also been trying to find excuses for me to skip my video calls with my dad, but I'm not going to ever do that. Still, I'm worried I may have opened a can of worms I won't be able to close. Am I the idiot? There's no updates, so here's a few comments. Not the idiot. Kids are smarter than adults give them credit for. She wasn't too young to learn that you have different dads, and will grow into a person who appreciates that you're willing to be honest with her. I grew up a child of divorced parents, and was always quick to correct anyone who called my stepfather my dad. It's just what you do, because you know what your relationship is to people. Comment 2. Not the idiot. And for once on this sub, we have an evil stepdad story, lol. In all seriousness, you have no obligation to accept anyone as your dad if you don't want to. All you did was tell your sister the truth, a truth she was going to find out anyway, and I think you did it in a very respectful and gentle way. Your mom trying to force you to connect with her husband and trying to drive a wedge between you and your real dad is concerning, and her husband's issue might be that your relationship with your dad is interfering in their perfect picket fence life and reminding them of your mom's past cheating. Good luck, you're going to need it. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.